Hey everyone, I'm making this video because I have a new Kontakt script out, and essentially it's a script that lets you do various kinds of things with panning. And I just wanted to run through the feature set, some of the things that you can do. Um, Similar to the last script I made, ntet, this is geared towards use with custom contact patches, old contact patches, anything that you can kind of get under the hood of and mess around with. So let's take a quick run through. So by default, here's the sound without any sort of panning effects on it. Just a pretty basic voice synth kind of sound. And then right away, if I turn it off, this is sort of the default setting, which is using a Hocket mode, which essentially means like we have 3 pan locations here, and this is going to Hocket through these 3 locations. So I can kind of do, you can see how it kind of sequences through that. And this can be cool for, sequential runs, things like that. Can have some pretty cool effects with that. And then there's a bunch of different modes, so you can do the same thing in reverse. You can kind of map things to the keyboard range, which is similar to how you might hear a stereo recording of a keyboard. You can map things by velocity, so the quieter it is, the more to the left it will be, and then it will move to the right. This one though is probably my favorite, Fate of Keys. So the idea with this one is it picks a random position for each key, and then each time you play it, it'll be in that same position. So this gets really into kind of simulating what it would be like to have this, very synthetic sound kind of staged, where each voice is kind of coming from the same spot. So another feature here, you can change the number of locations. If you put it to 0, it kind of just uses the full range, and in this case, it'll kind of just pull. You can see these are all just kind of like random, but if I hit the key again, it's going to keep playing it in that same spot. So if I play a chord, every time I play it, that same chord, all the pitches are going to be in the same locations. So this can be, it can be pretty interesting with like patterns and stuff. I mean, obviously, in general, panning is a relatively subtle effect, but it's still something nice to kind of like, just flesh out a sound. There's a seed value, so you can change the seed of the way this fate system works. So if you have a different seed, it's going to generate different random positions for everything. I'll show you the pitch one real quick. So we'll dial in like this is like a G1. So we'll put this at G1. We'll put the high range at B3, which is the end of the sample range for this instrument. And then you'll see as I play the full range, you get like a nice, very precise kind of way to pan stuff from left to right, which can be handy. Some other features, there's a pan tilt, so this can kind of like skew things one way or the other, so I could kind of skew things to the left if I want. You can hear it's subtle, but I mean it'll kind of moves things left and right. There's a width control, so if you change the width of it, obviously it's going to make it more narrow. And then there's flux, which is basically injecting noise into these positions. So listen to the position of this note as I start adding flux. And there's some little animation there so you can kind of tell what's happening. So this is fully random. So it's nice to maybe just add a little bit so the things kind of jump around, but not too much. There's this amp tilt feature. So just some basic kind of attenuation of the volume where you can have things on the left side be quieter than the right side or vice versa. So let's go back to the Hocket. I'll throw in like maybe 4 positions. So it can kind of simulate staging a little bit, like some, maybe this position is closer, these positions are more forward, and these are more backwards. So that could be, just a little something extra to add. Yeah, let's see. This is kind of the same thing as before, but it's just right out of the gate. You have basically just fully random. So it's just gonna kind of, when you have a set number of locations, it's gonna pick one of these for this setting. So it'll either go hard left, hard right, or some, one of these two in between. I like to use this 3 location a lot because it's great for things like chords, especially like guitars. If you want to hard pan stuff, you can do that. I mean, you can just kind of get. Oh, I forgot to take this back down to normal. Oh, but this flux is actually affecting it. Because this flux sometimes it'll pick one side for both. So if I put it to Hocket, you'll get a hard pan effect. You could do 3, and then it'll put one in the middle too, which is cool. So you can come up with like sequences too. So say you're just playing like a 2-note pattern, kind of hear how there's some motion there because you're kind of getting 2 at a time. Or playing all 3, it's going to use all 3 positions. And these are showing slightly, like if this is a 0, you'll see that this is 0, 100, 99. Essentially just they're all hard panned. This is a bug. This will say 100% on. I'll make that say 100% when I release it. But basically, yeah. So you can play a chord with 3 notes on it. It'll spread it out nicely. Okay, last thing I want to show. I mean, so fade of velocity, fade of velo is fade of. It's the same as using how they use the keys to seed the randomness, except it uses velocity. So it's just a little bit more variation and possibility. This one and also this one, fade of both. These are more useful for recording because if you record something with the same pitches and velocities and you play it back, it'll be exactly the same. So for example, I could record a little something. And then when I play it back, the panning will be exactly the same. So for things like scoring or, making a track, and if you just want to commit to the way something is, I mean, you could obviously print it as an audio file, but this is another possibility of a way of doing it using seeded random. The last thing I want to show is the send ID system. So I will go back to fade of. Actually, let's jump into a different patch for this demo. So I have this simple drum kind of thing. This drum patch. It's just these like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's just 7 drums. So if I load this up, I'll put 7 locations. And what we're gonna do, well, actually, no, I'll do this instead. I'll use the infinite locations and I'll use fade of keys so that each key that you press is always in the same spot. This is really cool for staging stuff like drums. It's sort of how you might like pan, a drum machine, individual sounds to different positions, but this is a way to do it really quickly. And obviously you can, dial in some amplitude variation and stuff, but really what I want to show is the send ID system. So this lets you send a 0 to 1 value that represents the pan position of each key that you press. What's really cool about this is you can tie in other effects with the panning to kind of create a more sophisticated sound. So start real simple. First you got to do this from script, match the send ID, and then I can, I'll do something extreme first so you can kind of hear it. So before it's just, you can hear this one say is 0.15. So that's a subtle one. This one is 0.63. So that's a more dramatic one. And now I'm going to play. Now I'm getting more variation in the drums in a deterministic way. So it's kind of like just changing the sound of that particular drum manually, but without the manual part. It kind of does it for you. Do the same thing with a little bit of volume. So maybe, this will be really dramatic. Like this one's not even making any noise because that value is 0.02. So I'd probably dial this back to like 20% or something. And now you're getting some, almost like staging, some putting certain things, closer or further away. We can kind of piggyback off that idea with, we could do a bandpass for like texture kind of stuff. So if we just pass that same value to a bandpass filter, you can see this is bouncing around. So now you got all these variations, these sonic variations. And they're predictable, which can be really useful compositionally. So we could add that. We could also add maybe we'll add a low pass. Maybe let's get rid of that, and maybe we'll add a low pass too. That could simulate sort of like distance. So we'll throw this send ID value on here. Right now this only sends 1. Could theoretically send more, but I have another script that I'm planning that will do that. So what I'll do is I'll dial this up a little bit. So now you have like a pretty interesting and varied sound. Whereas where we started was, definitely a simpler sound. And there's actually one more thing I want to add, and then I'll go back and we'll kind of A/B it. So this one more thing I want to add is some attack variation. So now there's like 0 to 25 milliseconds of attack time, and it's mapped to this. So yeah, these are just some ideas of how you can use this tool, not just for the panning, but also you can use the values it generates to send to a Kontakt patch and kind of create these like stage positions that are all like have slightly different sound to them. And just for context, if I turn all these things off, you can kind of hear like what it sounded like before, which was just kind of just sounded like this. And then we added the staging, and we added that and these. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a pretty simple script. It just very quickly lets you create some intelligent panning performances, and it's just a nice little thing to have in your toolkit when you're, if you want to modify your patches or modify the patches you've made or purchased from sample library developers. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Okay, thanks.